Thank you for joining me. I want to show you these really pretty flowers that I have made, and I just wanted to share them with you. So of course you'll need fabric, maybe a marking pen, your shapes. You'll need some background fabric cut into 6 by 6. I used actually a 6 by 6 ruler, a rotary cutter, scissors, needle, thread. So take your fabric and of course one of your shapes. You can make a template if you'd like, or what I'm doing here is I'm just using my disappearing ink and just going around the piece between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch away, and then I'm just going to cut out several layers at once. I find it helpful to use a hole punch in the pieces. You don't have to. You can also use just a pin through the paper if you'd like. I'm going to try to link as many of these items in the show notes just so that you'll be able to find them easier. Now I'm going to baste my first petal, and it's very important to me that I pin the paper to the fabric to hold it in place. I tried several different ways of basting, and this way seems to work the best for me. You can finger press around these if you'd like, just to kind of give the fabric a little bit of memory, so that when you do start basting it, you already have the lines that you're going to fold it on, as you can see that I'm doing here. And always try to baste in the exact same direction so that your tails on the corners all fit snugly and don't overlap. So you can see I'm starting on this first shoulder, so like the edge of the round part, and I'm folding it down really tight against the shoulder and the side. And then when I come down to the point, I'm going to fold it over and wrap the excess of the tail to the back, and it just helps me get a sharper point. And then of course when I get back to the next shoulder, I'm going to secure it in place. And that pin really keeps it from moving. So just keep going in the same direction. Make sure that shoulder is in there really tight, and I keep calling it shoulder for lack of a better term. Do a couple of stitches to secure it, and it's not a bad idea to go ahead and put a knot in there as well. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to go around the curved part the same distance from the paper all the way around and gather it. So just do a gather stitch. And then once you get to the end, you're going to pull it tight. And of course with this gather stitch, you're just going in and out of the fabric. It's almost like a running stitch, but very close together. And once you start getting around the curve of it, you can see it starting to take the correct shape. And then once you get back to the point where you started, you are going to want to put another knot in it so that it holds it tight. And I like to finger press around the edges of that curve as well at this point. Hey, just a friendly reminder, if you're enjoying these videos, please do like and subscribe. If you want to save a video for future reference, feel free to share it to your social media. All of this helps other people find my videos, and I do thank you for that. So I've got this piece finished. What you're going to need are 6 petals total for each flower. Okay, so now we're going to join the first 2 petals. You're going to put these right sides together. I like to put them in my hand so that I can feel the cardboard and know when they're in the exact same spot. I'm going to start in one of the shoulders, and of course I like to do a knot at the top corner before I start stitching. I wish I had chosen a more contrasting thread so that you could see better what I am doing. This is just a whip stitch. You could definitely do a flat back stitch. Now on these pieces, when I get to about the middle point, I also want to go ahead and put in another knot just to make it more secure on the side. Now of course I cut these using my Silhouette Cameo, and I will be putting a video up to show you how to make these pieces yourself. I wanted to let you know that these on the straight side are approximately 1.75 inches long. So that'll kind of give you an idea of what size we're working with. And then of course just keep stitching until you do get to the corner or where the tails are, and just try to get as close to the point as you can with your very last stitch. And I do like to go ahead and put a knot in that point as well before I sew back up the other side with the next piece. Okay, so here I am at the point. Just going to do this little knot here and pull it out, pull the thread out so we can open it up and take a look and see if we like how this corner has come out. Okay, so here we are. I think that point looks really good. So now we're just going to add the next piece right here. Okay, with this piece here, we're going to line it up again. We want it to match up perfectly. Since the thread is at the point, we're going to start at the point, and we're going to match those points up as close as we can and put a knot in at the end. Stitch halfway down, put a knot in. Then when we get to the top, we're going to finish it with another knot, and then we'll have a section of 3 put together. So you can see I've gone ahead and I've done 2 sections of 3. We're just going to line those up, right sides together, and stitch from one end to the other end, making sure that we secure it really good and tight in the very middle. Okay, so you can see I have the 2 sides together. I'm going to insert between the paper and the fabric. Let me tie my knot. Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to do a knot in the corner. I'm going to whip stitch halfway down the first paper piece, put a knot, whip stitch all the way to the very center, put a knot and pull it extremely tight. We don't want any holes in the center. And then repeat to the other side. Here's one that I have finished. You can see the centers are really tight, and that's kind of what you want. Mine don't always line up perfectly, but I don't like for them to have a hole in the center. But you can see I've done quite a few different colors. This could be fun for a scrappy quilt. Here on the back side, you can see that all my tails are going the same way, and that's good. That means I've basted them all going the same direction. At this point, you want to take it to the iron and press it really good. You want it flat. You want the curves to stay in their place once you take the papers out. I like to trim these long basting stitches, which is a good reason to knot at the very beginning and end of that side. So just cut these threads out, and that will make removing the papers very easy. The top gather should stay in place because we've done knots on all of the corners. So after all your threads are cut, go ahead and take those papers out. It's already been pressed. The long basting threads are cut. You can take these papers out and the curves keep their shape. So take those out all the way around. Now this is a 6 by 6 ruler, and I like the way this flower looks on the ruler. I think it's a good size for it. Once the seam allowance is taken into account for, it should still be a nice size block. I think I would also like to turn it on point. I think that will look really nice. I have some scrap white fabrics that I think would be nice as well. So here are those white on white scrap fabrics. I've cut them into 6 by 6 inch squares, and I will fold them from corner to corner to give me lines to use to line the flowers up onto this background square. So you can see from corner to corner, and I can use that seam to match up that line. And then if I fold it the other way, I can use the points of the flower to match it up. And of course I'll use pins to hold it down so that I can applique it to this background fabric. And just make sure that when you're folding it corner to corner that you're matching them up really well, because you do want it to look as if it's centered perfectly. So there you go. Just finger pressing is really all that you need. And I do like these on point, so I'll probably end up doing something with them on point. What do you guys think so far? Okay, so I'm going to line it up. I'm going to use my pins and pin it down to the background fabric, and I'm going to try to keep it from buckling. I want it to lay really flat so that when I do use my applique stitch all the way around, it stays exactly the way that I want it. Of course, if you do not want to hand applique, you could use your sewing machine. So here we have the flower pinned down, and I have thread that matches my flower, and I'm going to go ahead and start appliquing all the way around the edge using the applique stitch. So here I can either start my knot behind the white fabric or behind my flower petal just to kind of bury it. It doesn't matter, however you want to start it. And of course you're just going to go through the layers of the fabric close to the edge of the petal from the front to the back, and then you're going to travel underneath the back fabric a short distance and come back up through the layers of the back and the petal, and then go directly back down outside of the flower into the white. And you're going to do that over and over and over. The stitches will be barely visible because you're going to take such a small bite of the fabric when you are sewing in and out. When you're done, you'll see your stitches on the back side of the fabric, and you can actually take your scissors if you want and trim around and remove the excess fabric on the inside of the back fabric if you want, just to kind of follow around the edge. That's just if you want to remove some of the thickness. It's completely up to you if you want to or not. I thank you so much for joining me for this video today. I truly hope you have enjoyed it. Find me on Facebook. Please check out all of the show notes for important links and information. And of course, I do have other YouTube channels. I would love for you to check those out as well. Thank you so much, and happy sewing!